And we're back with yet again another update on XRP. Thank you to each and every one of you guys for showing tremendous amount of support on a day-to-day basis. A lot of newcomers coming in, of course, to the channel, and of course, the ones that have been here from the beginning, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to each and every one of you guys. I need all your guys' support. So if you don't want to miss any of these updates, hit that bell icon below so you are notified every time I upload. But without further ado, analysts suggest that XRP may be ahead of other cryptocurrencies in the space of SEC approval of a spot ETF. We're going to be talking about all of that stuff. If this sounds like, interesting to you, like I said, hit that red subscribe button. But looking across the market, the past 24 hours were bearish. So, we did see a little bit of a pullback. And I know a lot of people are like, why? Why are we seeing a pullback? We don't want to see a pullback. We want to see the market pumping. That's all. But we need to understand, this is why we take a look at Bitcoin on a day-to-day basis. This is why your boy Crypto ZX tells you about, what's happening with BTC on a regular day-to-day basis. But anyhow, let's analyze and take a look at what's happening with XRP right now. XRP down about 3.9% on the daily time frame. Over the last 1 week, we are up 14.4%. So, that is something that I don't want you guys to be forgetting. And of course, if you're looking at the broader market, your broader market is up right now. But let's take a look at, what's happening with XRP. So let's go on the charts. So, as far as XRP's price is concerned, it's at $2.07, down 3.7% in USD, down 1.1% in Bitcoin. Comparative valuation still holding above 120 billion, to be exact, 120.8 billion dollars, and the 24-hour trading volume at about 2.6 billion. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So XRP leads altcoin ETF race with nearly 10 active applications, followed by Solana, Litecoin, and Doge, according to SEC filing tracked by Keiko Research. Which crypto ETFs do you think will be approved first? So, again, look at the amount of ETF filings there are for XRP, but we're going to come back to this chart. Obviously, we did have a new addition to the filings. You can see ProShares just filed for an XRP ETF. So now let's kind of take a look at this. Why do you think there's so much demand for an XRP ETF? Let's kind of look at it from, these institutions or, these firms, standpoint, from their perspective. Why do you think they're filing for it? Because they want the share of the pie. This is what I've been saying before we even got one ETF, a filing. Before even we got one ETF filing, I've been saying this. They know that how much demand this is going to bring. Of course, if they have an ETF, they can obviously make or get some share of the pie, because as far as demand factor is concerned, there's a lot of people, a lot of analysts that are projecting that XRP in the near future will actually take over the top two spot. Actually taking over Ethereum's valuation. But with the demand we're seeing right now, and with the way these filings are going, this should really show you where interest really lies. And with the way the native tokens price itself is reacting, it just shows you how good and how much demand there really is for this project. Yes, we have not hit all-time highs. I know that. It's not no secret, but right now you need to understand where the dominance is at right now. Of course, where Bitcoin is and what kind of correlation it could have on the broader market, and of course what kind of correlation external factors can have on the crypto space, which a lot of people overlook. But very, very interesting stuff. And now obviously we're missing the likes of the big boys such as BlackRock. Obviously, that itself, that announcement of the filing itself, I've said from the beginning, will be quite bullish. And I think, BlackRock is well aware. Let's put ourselves in BlackRock's shoe, okay? Do you think BlackRock is not seeing, and do you think there's not people or interest from people that actually have the Bitcoin ETF or the Ethereum ETF? Do you really think they're not asking for other ETFs? And when we talk about other ETFs, XRP is one of them that is being discussed the most. And even in interviews, we have seen Larry Fink being asked, when are you going to be looking at XRP? And there's statements where he said no comments on the future of different ETFs. They know this, and obviously there's a lot of rumors that fly around as well that they already are buying XRP. We don't know. maybe, all these big transfers that we're seeing is that, likes of BlackRock or bigger entities that are purchasing, possibly. We could sit here and speculate, but, again, this itself tells you how much interest there really is for an XRP ETF. But look at what Smoke says. XRP is standing out on the charts again, leading the inflows while other major crypto assets face significant selling pressure. XRP was the outlier this week. And again, like I just said, what we've discussed, this kind of sums it up. We are seeing more demand for XRP, and it's holding much better than the broader market. The best way to look at it is look at it from this perspective. You are seeing a lot of coins down 6-7%. You're looking at XRP only down about 3.8%. So you're pretty much matching, what Bitcoin has done. But look at, what Jake says. People still underestimate the impact of Ripple's acquisition of Hidden Road. The firm clears over $3 trillion per year across Forex, crypto derivatives, and fixed income. That's $50 million plus transactions a day, totaling to 10 billion daily. That's 50 million daily transactions, totaling to $10 billion daily, with a direct path to XRP Ledger. So now this comes to the XRP Ledger, and that just tells you. And why do you think they're bought Hidden Road? Because they want to innovate. Ripple is not here to play around, and they have been expanding. They have been kind of sticking to their roadmap when there was so much uncertainty for them, with this lawsuit, no interest from broader, retail. Again, they stood their ground and they continue to innovate. And now I think they're really going to take advantage of that. And I'm already thinking they are, starting to see that happening. So let's take a look at what's happening with the price there. As far as the dominance is concerned, you guys can see the dominance is picking up at 63.89%, showing a lot of strength. You don't really want to see the strength right now, especially when Bitcoin sees a retracement. You guys can see, Bitcoin did end up seeing a retracement from $86,400 down to 83.1, but we have seen a little bit of a bounce since then. Still in the 38.2 fib zone, and of course, the tax deadline in the States, that is also something that we need to consider. Stock market tends to see a little bit of a sell-off. Crypto, for people that have to file for tax and then pay using their crypto gains. So obviously that is also something we need to factor in. But now let's take a look at what's happening with XRP's price, because that is what everyone wants to know. So you guys can see this for yourself. XRP's price did react. Of course, we went down from $2.18 down to 206. We are sitting below the 38-point Fibonacci retracement level right now. Not something that we have not seen before. We do have significant amount of support around this range. But before everyone comes and starts talking negative about XRP, we need to understand that this is happening for the broader market. But still, from April 7th, you are still up 27.65% on XRP, and it's still holding really, really good in a grand scheme of things. Let me show you guys the weekly time frame, and this will just show you what I mean. We have been ranging above this key support line pretty much since breaking out in November. Yes, we have seen few wicks below. Of course, market has seen major flush a few times, and that has impacted XRP, but the way it has recovered tells you everything you need to know. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Of course, we are sitting below that key support line right now, but I do expect us to bounce back as far as the price is concerned. But if Bitcoin drops below the 38.2, we might see a little bit of a retracement, but in the grand scheme of things are looking really good, and I think people overlook this. Let me know down below what you guys think. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.